Hello and welcome to this very special edition of the Irish Wrestling Podcast. My name is Mark O'Brien, and today I've been joined by somebody incredibly special. He is one of the faces of not only British and European wrestling, he is the face of several specific of the largest promotions across Europe, be it Progress, Rev Pro, and BZW over in France. We're here today to talk about one of the biggest shows in the European wrestling calendar, that is the BZW and APC Cash joint promotion of the French Touch Show occurring at the end of this August in conjunction with, as I said, a number of French promotions called French Touch. The same weekend as WWE Clash in the Castle. I'm joined by the one and the only Connor Mills. Connor, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Enjoying the unseasonably hot weather here in Ireland, but all good otherwise.
Yeah,
Most people in this part of the world, my part in Dublin here, would know you from tearing up
good.
and across promotions in the UK, primarily just because of what you have access to, particularly indie wrestling, be it Progress, Rev
Yeah,
Pro, and kind of the bangers you've been putting on for a year on end. But a lot of people within European wrestling would know you for being one of the mainstays, particularly of BZW. And for people who've got far too much time in their hands, like me, I love BZW. I love
yes.
bangers on wrestling, the kind of the atmosphere and what is known as the European scene. What can you tell people about people from our part of the world who might be traveling over to Paris for Clash and Castle weekend, and what can they expect from French Touches' show on the horizon?
Oh, they're in for a treat. Like I'll tell you, there's no atmosphere, and I'm not just saying it. There's no atmosphere that I've experienced in wrestling quite like a BZW show. Honestly, like the crowd is something else, and like it's almost contagious because when we wrestle, like myself and all the other wrestlers on the show, like we just feel the energy backstage. Like you feel the room vibrating, like you hear the crowd, and it just makes us perform like top level. And like they're in for a treat if they're going to that show. Like that crowd doesn't get tired, and I've never met a crowd that like has an appreciation for a show of wrestling quite like the French fans do.
Yeah, it's like a different atmosphere entirely. Like I went to the Backlash show in Lyon last year. I was insane. It was like kind
Oh
of
yeah.
it was like a football crowd, like a European football crowd. It was more like kind of like ultras you kind of see, and like I'd say about Barcelona, Real Madrid, that kind of
Yeah,
atmosphere.
yeah,
People just
yeah.
bouncing from start to finish. I wasn't
Hmm.
sure if they're watching the wrestling at points, but that's kind of beside the point. Like you can find European or like British and Irish shows. A lot of people are sitting down and trying to take it in, and it's like a family day out, depending on the show as well. But that was the most insane atmosphere I've ever come
Yeah.
across. And then from seeing the videos, like when shows you guys have been putting on across France, you see highlights when like Penta visited BZW. Now you've got guys like Bobby Lashley who are mainstay AEW and WWE guys. What does it mean for you to be on a show with like it's almost co-promoted with WWE at this stage, and it's got some of the biggest talents that are contracted around the world being on it? For you personally, as a guy who's been around the scene for the last 10 years, what does it mean personally to be who's been one of the kind of the forefront of a show like this?
It's a special feeling, and it's almost like, not to say that no one else has, but I've never felt quite appreciated the way I feel with the BZW fans and with, all of the staff there and their like company as a whole. Like it feels special. It feels like they've instilled quite a lot of trust in me to like be like a focal point of the show and be like a big part of the show. And like I like to think that I've like earned that trust from the consistency I put in with my matches and my performances over the years there. So it's nice to kind of see it all culminate before like a WWE show on like such a big weekend. And it felt like it last year, like you mentioned the show in Leon,
Yeah.
10 a.m. in the morning, the crowd were just electric. And but again, it's wakes us up, it gets us performing, and it feels nice to be able to do that again this year.
Yeah, like seeing that show in Leon last year, as I say, it was at 10 in the morning. I was like looking from afar, watching on social media. I was like, how do they have so much energy for 10 in the morning? Like, have they gone to bed yet? Or have they just kept going all night long? Or what are they doing in the morning
Yeah.
to give themselves that energy? Or if they're like that naturally, that's I want to get on whatever they're doing. But like I'm traveling over for it, so I'm more than excited. Do you have, I'm sure Hal will, or the promoters will kind of tell you in due course, but do you have any indication as to what you'll be doing on the show or who you might be facing as such?
Yes, so it's been announced already. I'll be facing Kuro for
Brilliant.
the APC Championship. So we had our first match last year at BZW at that Leon show where I
Yeah.
beat him, and then we had a rematch earlier this year in May, I believe, where it's a double count out. So this is kind of the rubber match, like the trilogy match. And again, there's a lot on the line for him. Like the APC title is on the line, and I've only wrestled kind of once there, so I feel like I've been thrown into quite like a big spot right away in terms of the way I've climbed up the ladder in that promotion. And again, it's hopefully that's a reflection of the work I've put in within like the French and European scene over the last year
Yeah.
to sort of have that spot and kind of almost headline the show.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got the WWE talent or former WWE
Yeah.
AEW talents on the show
Yeah.
like Bobby Lashley, again like the big names and stuff, but to kind of be alongside them and have our work feel just as important as theirs is like a very special feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like for many of us who are going to this show, like grand, a lot of the WB or AW talents can be the ones that drive extra ticket sales, but a lot of us who are like our actual, we consider ourselves wrestling fans. We're going to there to watch the likes of yourself, the likes of Akuro, the likes of an Igel Blanc. Those are the kind of
Yeah,
people we want to be kind of get our teeth into because that's where the electricity and the excitement often is going to come in the show like this. You guys are going to bring the energy, you're going to bring the passion, but they've also got this kind of a home fan base who have kind of revolved themselves around you. And they've touched on it there, that kind of progression you've made and I suppose relationship you develop with the BZW fans as such. How rewarding is it as a talent? As a guy, like I saw you did a lovely post on social media recently where you kind of posted one year after the other, like what you physically looked like and
yeah,
your development across the 10 plus years. How rewarding
yeah.
is it now to be in like arguably the hottest promotion in Europe? And I think probably, I mean, it'd be hard pushed to find a hotter promotion independent wise across the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
how
yeah.
how rewarding is that for you, for guys 10 years in now, that you are like one of the faces of this company and you're the one
It's
steering the ship as such?
yeah, it's extremely rewarding, and it's taken me a long time to get to this point, as you saw, like 10 plus years, and it was only when I just started to find myself, I guess, the last 2 or 3 years, where it kind of crossed paths perfectly with BZW and APC, like as I was finding myself like, as a wrestler, like true, well and truly. Then I was like being introduced to their crowd, so the timing couldn't have been better. Like starting to just reach my peak now as a wrestler and find myself and be involved in APC and BZW, like get to literally show them like the best version of me as a wrestler and then just get better each time when I wrestle for them. And it feels very rewarding. It feels like I've worked for it. It doesn't feel like it's come easy. So like it feels great to kind of see that happen like in front of my eyes.
And it's even, it feels kind of rewarding for those of us who can attend like a Rev Pro or Progress or OTT or kind of Fight Factory shows here in Ireland. It's rewarding to see like WWE doing these shows and around Europe, like American audiences. A lot of things Americans can think just revolves in their one island, be it wrestling or otherwise. But when they get to see a crowd,
Yeah.
be it in Europe, and see the added electricity and the show surrounding it and the quality of it, and guys who I think, for my money, when I'm watching them, I think are better on the whole. Personally, that's an opinion. It's not a fact. I'm not saying that, but like when you see the likes of yourselves now getting
Yeah,
more
yeah.
eyes in the product, and you see all the Americans are going to be coming over to Paris, and all the excitement's going to be around WWE, but they're going to go to the French Touch show, and the people they're going to be talking about afterwards are yourself, Igor Blanc, LJ Cleary, Kuro. That's what the real excitement is going to be. But also, kind of this past week, there's been a lot of news around WWE tryouts, where there's a huge amount of European-based talents from Ireland, UK, and otherwise have kind of excelled, and there's been a
Yeah.
perception now around the quality of European wrestling and kind of just how many incredible talents there are. Is that something on your own horizon, something you're working towards? Would that be a personal goal at all?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My goal has always been like New Japan, so that's somewhere I would want to go. But like I'd feel extremely grateful and lucky, like if I ever got offered a WWE tryout, and I'd, of course I'd love to do it. I imagine it'd be like an incredible learning experience and almost invaluable. But like ultimately, like what I want from wrestling, I believe lies in Japan.
Love that. Love that authenticity. And like, again, that's again from my own taste. That's what something I prefer as well to watch it on a Saturday morning, watching a G1 climax match or whatever it is, catching up with the Dan Maloney and whatnot. But no, that's absolutely
Yeah,
amazing. And thank you very much for your time, Connor. Just for as a closing note, just with obviously tickets are going like hotcakes in the minute. There's WWE Clash in Paris. There's a show on Friday in Lyon for SmackDown. Then there's a show in Paris, obviously for Clash. Then that same weekend, obviously get yourself a French Touch, and there's WWE Raw. I think the one show that weekend that'll take the whole weekend and steal the weekend is French Touch, based on the talents announced and the talents involved. There'll be more effort put in, be a more rabid crowd, be a more enjoyable show, regardless of how many matches or how much pyrotechnics WWE can put on that same time frame. If you were a casual
yeah.
fan traveling up to Paris, thinking, "Oh, look, I've got a spare off Saturday afternoon here now. I want to go see an independent wrestling show, see what it's checked out, what it's like." What would you say to a fan who's on the fence a bit to convince them to kind of come along to a show like that?
I I would tell them like the value for the what you'd pay for a ticket for that French Touch show you will get 10 times back in the quality of wrestling that you see on the show. And if you're not an independent wrestling fan already, I believe that's a show that will make you one. And I'd even say it to fans of like independent wrestling here in the UK and Ireland. If you can and make the travel, it's worth it to go over and check one out. Like if you can make the travel there and you're a wrestling fan, like it's something you have to experience. Like there's nothing like a BZW crowd and show. And yeah, I feel like it's invaluable to experience it.
No, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it myself, and I'm making sure that's a priority of my weekend, regardless of what else is going on around it. I'm fortunate enough; I've done bits in the London School of Wrestling, not with yourself, with Dave Francisco. I've trained here in Ireland with Kuro when he's been over working with OTT for kind of various different camps as well. So I'm personally thoroughly excited to see how you guys get on. It's going to be a personal highlight then to see the likes of LJ Cleary,
Yeah.
Igo Blanc, and so many more stars from the European wrestling scene. They're taking all the plaudits in the news of the minute. Um, it's my first BZW show. I keep calling it BZW because I watch too much American television. BZW show. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Fans, please go out of your way to try and get a ticket for this if you're in Paris that weekend. I'll be sharing links at the end of this. And Connor Mills, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're a gentleman.